Hello, hello, beautiful listeners. I am always asking myself when preparing for the podcast, what is something that I am hearing, sensing, seeing in my executive coaching, team facilitations, vision coaching that I think is going to translate into this format and be something that you can tap into, learn to apply on your own. And today we are talking about one of the things that I see most people, whether it's professional setting in a team context or individual who's maybe thinking about how to make a career pivot or how to find more engagement in their professional lives, see it show up in all of these settings. And that is how do I move from vision to action or its twin cousin? How are the things that I'm already doing connecting up to the vision I want for myself? So it's that desire to see where I'm going and for the sake of what? My vision, how it ties into what I'm actually doing, how I'm moving, where I'm placing my attention, the way I'm spending my day to day. So that is what we're going to talk about today. And I'm going to get into it. I'm going to talk about this topic by sharing the vision funnel and naming for you not just vision and action, but what's the movement between those. And there's really 5 buckets that I break it down. At the top of the funnel, vision, into strategy beneath that, to goals, to keep going lower, to to milestones, to at the base of the funnel, tactics. That's the movement I want to talk you through. And and what's the power and how do we move up and down? And what does that feel like in action? So that's what we're talking about today. And my hope and belief as you're hearing this is that you are gaining new distinctions. And as you gain these new distinctions and see new and can see with fresh perspective, that you will start to gain new paths, new choices that you have on how to both move up to what you really want and how to feel the connection to that in the way that you move and act day to day. That's my wish. That's my bet. Are you with me? Let's check it out. Okay, so vision funnel. I mentioned the five different parts of the funnel. Let me give a little bit more flavor. So, vision at the top, at an individual level, it's simply your act of naming what is it that I really want. And go back. You can listen to episode 5, back from, I think, circa 2016 of this podcast, where I have a longer form vision meditation. If you're like, I don't know what I want, go listen to that. Or you could listen to at the top of this year, I did an episode on starting the year off right and was tapping you into, okay, what do you want for this year? Great. So you can do that. I trust it's within you. What is it that I really want? For our teams that we lead, what do we want for our team? Yes, goals, but also for like how do the goals that we're working on our team connect to the vision of the business, the organization that we're a part of? Drawing that connection in. So really holding the bigger picture, the inspiration, the for the sake of what? The impact. Okay, so that's a vision at the top. The thing I'm really looking for to know that we've got vision is that we feel inspired. And if inspired is a tricky word for you, it is for some people. That's okay. Shake that off. Notice that without judgment. The physical sensation that I want you to have when you hold the vision is you want to like lean forward and stand up. Like a vision should draw you up and out of yourself into movement. Like, yes, I want to move towards that. It sometimes the thing that we're calling vision makes us want to go hide in a corner because something about it is triggering us to feel like we can't do it. And if that's happening, probably there's something about the way the vision is being communicated that's off. So I just want you to notice that too. So my simplistic way of saying, do we have the vision? Is like, am I ready to get up and move with it? Am I inspired by it? That's the vision. That's at the top of the funnel. Big, like stretch your arms up out side to side, like you're literally forming a triangle where your head is the base and your hands are the tip of the funnel. Like that's the vision sits at the top of that out there. Okay. Now, moving down from vision, the next layer as we narrow in the funnel is strategy. I like to describe strategy as the bets we're making that get us from where we are to where we want to go, the vision. In other words, the strategy is the bridge or sometimes the bridges that we're building. We don't know if the bets we're making will actually be what move us from present to desired future state. But you got to start somewhere. And to get into the practical day-to-day tactics, the actions, and even the goal setting that we're doing, we have to know what are the domains that we're going to be focused on to get us into that vision. So that's what I want you to consider when you think about strategy. What are those bridges? What's my best thinking on what will get me from here to there? Something I want you to know about the strategy area is this is often the place where I see both teams and organizations struggle. The people and teams I tend to work with are pretty good at setting goals, which tend to be on an annual or more frequent, closer in basis. With process, time, and space held, I'll tell you what, these teams and individuals can create the vision, can name like, this is what we're wanting. This is for the sake of what? But beginning to process, but how do I get from here to there? How do the goals connect in to into the vision? How do I know if I do these things that ultimately it will get me to this thing that's often years out into the future? And that's where strategy comes in. In organizational life, the strategies we are setting tend to be in a 2 to 5 year time horizon. So what am I betting on that if we do, will 5 years from now have me in a different position? That's the art of coming up with the strategic direction. Goals. That's what sits underneath strategy. And by the way, I'll come back after I describe each of these. I'm going to give you an example or two so you can see like, okay, here's how we go from a vision down to a strategy, to a goal, to a milestone, to a tactic. Okay, so goals. Goals need to be realistic, as in, I really like this is something that I see that I can do. So that we're paying attention to that. You may have heard specific, measurable, attainable, time bound, realistic. I did it out of order, smart. And now we can add in equitable. So, really thinking holistically about, are we moving from here to there? Can we see these smarty goals in practice? So, you want to make sure that you're setting goals that way. And if we are setting goals in the vision funnel, we are seeing how these goals that we're setting are going to move us from where we are up towards the strategy. So as the goals in a let's say in a month or quarter, even in a year aren't going to make us realize the strategy, but they're going to put us on significant stride to get there. So if we have a 2 to 5 year time horizon, let's call it a 3 year time horizon for our strategy, my annual goal is going to take me a third of the way through time wise to realizing that strategic bet. It's how these play together. So it's like, here's where I'm headed for the sake of what my vision. I'm making I have a strategy. This is my bet. It's going to build the bridge from where I am to get there. And in this year, I'm focusing on X that I can measure and that feels realistic. Like I feel like I can do it. And that's going to move me on that path. Great. That's the goals. Milestones. One could say, I don't need a milestone. Here's why I want you to have milestones. Milestones are the things we celebrate, underscore celebrate. They're the things we're celebrating on the path to achieving the goals. I love outcomes, results, achievement. I love it. Former sales executive. I love it. I'm very motivated by hitting the goal. And celebrating is so important. It's important as a unique human being, and it's absolutely important as a group of human beings called a team that works together. It's so important that we celebrate because celebrating allows us to see we're making progress. We're on the path. Celebrating makes the work more ease-filled and sustainable. We don't want to feel like we're on a hamster wheel, spinning, 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 no end in sight. That's exhausting. We want to see how this thing I did this week moves me to where I want to go long term. You want to start the new business venture, and this week you saw 3 places that might be the house where that business venture lives. Celebrate it. You sign the lease, pop the champagne or kombucha or whatever celebratory beverage you want. Celebrate it. It's really important. And in the vision funnel, it's seeing that connection of when I sign the lease, how it actually shifts to this goal I have of creating a home for the culture I want to build, which connects to the strategy that my business is one of the competitive edges we'll have as a business is having a really dynamic, powerful culture that's going to attract and retain top talent that connects to my vision of a business that does fill in the blank, right? Like that vision of here's what we're here to do. This is the impact we want to have in the world. That's how this moves up and down. Okay. The final piece, by the way, if you're hearing sounds, just brief interruption. Friends, there is some serious wind happening around me. I mean, this is like a vision tornado around the studio where I'm working. So if you're hearing clanging or sounds, that's what's happening. But I'm going to welcome it in. I always feel like the disruptions are always a welcome disruption to bring the attention back. Okay. Last piece of the vision funnel. At the base, this is where we hit the point at the bottom of the funnel. Tactics. What are the things you're going to do day to day that are going to move you towards those milestones you can celebrate, that move you up to the goal, that bring you to the strategy that realizes the vision? And just staying with that example I just gave of here, the vision of our business is fill in the blank. And I think actually a lot of businesses, what I'm about to say translates. This is a lot of the companies I'm working with care about their people and see how their people are actually what are allowing them to grow, both in their bottom line and in their impact in the world. And those companies are making strategic bets that building a culture that is attracting and retaining top talent is a strategic priority. And a goal that sits underneath of that might be to create a home workspace. And that, by the way, in the new way of work, could be a digital workspace. It could be a hybrid workspace. There could be a beautiful new vacation rental part of that workspace, or it takes all different shapes. But let's say part of it is to create a home, quote unquote, whatever that home is, create a home. That's the goal. This year, we're going to create a home for our space. Milestone, we signed the lease on this home. Tactic that would lead you to that. So there might be a series. Tactic might be uh, let's say you don't have a real estate agent yet. Create a list of 3 real estate agents who will help us find our new home. Another tactic, interview those real estate agents. Another tactic, commit to real estate agent who will be our partner. Next tactic, develop budget for what we will pay for the home, right? All of those pieces, those are tactics that lead you up to the milestone of signing the lease. It goes up and it goes down. What I want you to see is sometimes to sit in the day-to-day of, I'm out here trying to find a real estate agent and I'm interviewing and I have so many other pieces I have to put in place to be able to sign that lease, can begin to feel tedious. It's like, oh, this isn't the core of what we're doing in our work. This feels like a distraction. I'm not motivated by this, because what happens is it feels broken from the bigger picture of what matters. Because you're just down here focusing on trying to find a real estate agent collaborator. What the vision funnel does, and this is the movement, it's the ability to lift up and say, reaching out to the real estate agent is going to get me to the place where I celebrate the milestone of signing the lease, which moves me on my annual goal of creating a home for our work culture, which connects up to the strategic bet that I'm making, that the way that we realize our vision is that we attract and retain top talent through having an amazing home where people come to work. That's not every business's vision, but this could be one. So in this company, you make this bet, you do this thing, and by doing that, and by attracting and retaining top talent through this bet on having an amazing home where we work, cascades up to being able to realize our vision as a business to create fill in the blank impact in the world, because this is what we're here to do as a company. And we need that top talent to be engaged and retained. And we believe that them doing that is going to be through this home. See like how it moves up and down. Now, are you going to be doing this up and down movement every moment? Now, this thing I'm doing, how does that connect up? The art becomes that you see, like you can like feel it. You can lift up and come back down almost in like seconds. Like you see the pathway. What happens often is we have a vision and we're doing actions, but we don't see the connection between the two. They feel untethered. That's the example of, I'm reaching out to all these real estate agents and it's so tedious and monotonous. I don't see how it connects, or I'm not even thinking about how it connects. But when you draw the line through from vision to tactic, big desire, wish, impact, want, down to your actions, then you can move up and down. And what a gift to be able to do that. And if you're getting stuck, rather than just feeling the stuckness, you can have new distinctions and say, well, as I posited, maybe you're like many people who are getting stuck on, how do I go from the vision into the strategy? Or maybe you don't know the vision. Maybe you know the vision and you have some ideas of strategy, but you're unsure of what to track to measure it. You need goals. Or maybe you have goals, but you don't see you haven't yet broken those goals down into a way that's building excitement of like, what could we celebrate on this path? What's going to keep us in it and motivated by it? Or maybe you're so lost in the big picture that you haven't figured out, let me bring it down to the present. What can I do this day, this week, this month to move me forward? What are the tactics I can put in place? That's the movement up and down. And if you can see those distinctions when you get stuck, rather than saying, I don't know, I'm stuck, I don't see how I get from here to there, you can start to see, well, I actually see, I know what I'm doing. And I know, and I'm celebrating, like I'm keeping good momentum. And I even see the goals that I'm doing. But I'm unsure of how these goals connect into the big picture. Well, sometimes it's just about naming, like clarifying, what is the bridge? What's the strategy? And that bridge building helps you feel that sense of, okay, I see how there's connection. Think of it now in a team setting. A leader might know someone, and here I'm talking about positional leadership. You may be in the conversation setting the vision, the strategy of the organization, and you're leading teams and you're managing to goals to bring your teams along to get to that vision. Sometimes frontline leaders, those who are out executing in the delivery of the work, need transparency on how what they're doing connects in. So it's also good to have these distinctions of looking up and down in the vision funnel to be able to say, oh, I can help my team see how what they do connects in, which builds engagement, which leads to productivity and all the good things that happen when our workforce is engaged. So it's really powerful, both on an individual level, your vision, how you're moving towards it, on a team level, being able to make sure your team feels that connection. On an organizational level, do you see how your vision connects into the goals that you're setting for that year, to the actions you're asking your workforce to perform? It's really powerful. Lifting up to the top of the funnel. Here's where we're headed for the sake of what? And being able to drop down and focus at the bottom of the funnel. And this is what I'm doing and how it connects. And that, dear listeners, is what I wanted to share with you all today. I hope as you are hearing this, you are thinking, getting creative on, ooh, where's my learning in this? What distinctions have I maybe relearned? Maybe what's new learning? And how might I put this into practice? That's the challenge. That's the gift. Okay. If you loved today's episode and are just dying to know, how, Sharon, can I support you in this podcast that I love so much? First of all, thank you for being willing to do that. And here are 3 simple things that you can do. 1, if you are not already subscribed to the podcast, hit that plus sign, hit follow, hit subscribe. You will get to keep up to date on every episode when it drops on Wednesday. And you subscribing will help connect others to the podcast too. Second thing you can do, rate and review the podcast. I am so grateful to the many listeners who have already taken 30 seconds to hop onto Apple Podcasts and gift us a 5-star rating. And bonus kudos to those of you who have also taken a minute or 2 to write a review. You can write 1 review per episode. So here's my creative challenge. When there is a key takeaway that you have from the show and you want to celebrate it, head over and write a review. Say, this is what I learned. This is the inspiration I'm taking away. This is the thing I'm able to practice as a result. Celebrate it like we do when we hit that milestone stage in Vision to Action funnel. Third and final thing, tell a friend or a colleague about the show. Even better, tell them about a specific episode that you think would be meaningful to them. Like maybe from today's episode, you're thinking, gosh, there's a member of my team who would really benefit from this. Maybe it's my partner who I think would really enjoy this. Maybe it's a former boss I haven't talked to in a long time. Not only does you sharing the podcast with others help me realize my vision to raise our collective consciousness about what's possible, but I also love that it offers you a chance to deepen your network connections and remind us all that we aren't doing this thing called life alone. Finally, if you are asking yourself, how could Sharon help my team or help me connect to our vision, to what we're doing? We should talk. Go over to pointroadstudios.com or contact me on LinkedIn or Instagram via the Point Road Studios handles. I will read and respond personally to every message that you send, and I will delight in getting to know you better. And with that, dear listeners, I am wishing you a beautiful rest of your week. And until next Wednesday, remember, there is nothing stopping you. So go on ahead and get after whatever it is that you really want.